You said the same thing I told ya. My eyes are clear, there's no secret. I wanna know.
Okay, so to begin this look, I'm going to start off with an eye primer. This one here is from Benefit. It is their Stay Don't Stray in the shade Medium Deep. And simply applying that onto the lids and then blending it all out using my clean finger. After that, I'm just going to set everything in place by using some of this True Match pressed powder. This one is in the shade N4, and applying that onto my entire lid using a large shading brush. This is just going to create a nice even matte canvas for me to work with, and it's going to become very, very easy to blend on top of it. Using the shade Burnt Orange from the Anastasia palette, I'm going to be grabbing that with a large blending brush and simply just swiping that color back and forth along my crease using circular and windshield wiping motions. Now I'm going to go back into this shade around 2 more times, so 3 total, in order to build up the color intensity. So feel free to do more or less depending on your skin tone or depending on your preference. The next shade that I'm going to be grabbing from the same palette is this one here called Vermeer, and I'm simply going to be grabbing it with my index finger and applying it onto the lid, but I am going to be stopping right before the outer V and right underneath the crease, and just blending that into my entire, or almost my entire lid with my finger. I find that, when the shades or when the shadows are really buttery and really soft and they're shimmers, it's a lot better to apply it with your finger because you get a better color payoff than you would with a brush. Then I'm just going to grab the shade Burnt Orange once again, just a little tiny bit of that in order to blend in between both shadows. In order to make this look a little bit more girly and fun, I decided to add a pressed pigment. This one here is from MAC. It is in the shade Light Touch, and I'm going to be grabbing that with a wet synthetic brush. I sprayed it with a little bit of MAC Fix Plus, but you can also use some eye drops. It works just the same. And patting that on top of the shade that I just applied onto my lids. For liner today, I'm going to be going in with Maybelline's EyeStudio gel liner. This one is in the shade Blackest Black, and simply applying it by starting on the outside and working my way in. Since I wanted this wing line to be a little bit thicker on the outside and then just thinning out as it goes in toward the inner corner of my eye. I usually start it this way now anyway. I used to start my wing line right in the center of my lid and then working my way outward, but now I like to start it on the outside, working my way in, just because I feel like I have a little bit more control on the thickness at that point. Whenever I used to start in the middle, it would kind of get a little bit out of control sometimes, but doing it this way has helped me greatly. Moving on to mascara, this one here is from Beauty for Real, and just applying that onto my lashes. I believe I am going to be applying about 2 to 3 coats. I don't remember now, but I definitely build it up. So if I can stop at 2 coats, if I feel 2 coats is enough to make my lashes really pop, then I stop at 2. If I feel like there needs to be a 3rd layer, then I will go in with a 3rd layer. I love this mascara, so just giving myself a few good coats. How about that? A few good coats of this before moving on. For this look, I'm going to go ahead and fill in those pores using the Benefit's Porefessional Pore Filler. It's like a balm. It's very, very soft. It feels really, really soft and velvety on the skin. So simply applying a nice layer of that onto the sides of my nose where I feel like the pores need to be filled in, and onto my nose as well using my fingers. Next, of course, comes color correcting. This one here is from Becca. It is their under eye brightening corrector. Simply applying a nice thin layer of that onto the under eye area using my ring finger. For foundation today, I decided to go with full coverage, which is why I grabbed my Urban Decay All Nighter foundation. This one is in the shade 5.0, and just applying that using a damp beauty blender onto my entire face. For concealer today, I'm going with my current favorite, which is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This one is in the shade Medium, and simply applying it in a triangle shape underneath the eye before moving on and blending it out using my damp beauty blender. And then I grabbed my RCMA No Color Powder in order to set the under eye area completely. This was kind of a last minute decision. I grabbed my Amazonian Clay Tarte liner and applied that onto my entire waterline. This one here is in the shade Sunstone Bronze, which to me it was like, it's a nice pop of a little bit of color, but nothing too drastic or dramatic. And then I grabbed the shade Burnt Orange once again from the Anastasia palette with a pencil brush and just blended out that lower lash line. You know how sometimes when you add color onto your waterline, you kind of have a little bit of a line between your waterline and your lash line? This completely erases that, it blurs that out, and it adds a little something extra onto your lower lash line. And then finished off the eyes with mascara on the lower lashes. In order to bronze up the face a little bit, I'm grabbing this Estee Edit bronzer. This one is in the shade Light Medium, and simply applying that onto the hollows of my cheeks and then swirling the brush upward so that it can blend into my face so that I don't have a really harsh contour or a really harsh bronze line on the hollows of my cheeks, so that it all looks nice and soft. And then I realized, you know what, this isn't cool enough in order to be contour shade, and so I grabbed my Smashbox contour palette, used that contour shade and applied that onto the outer part of the hollows of my cheeks, so the part that's right next to the sideburns, and then blended that in with the bronzer. For blush today, I went with Rosé Spritz because it's a nice baked looking blush. I love this blush. It gives you a really nice subtle glow without going too overboard. So just applying that onto my cheek area, mainly on the outside, and then dragging whatever's left over on the brush onto the apples of my cheeks, because I didn't want the apples to be too pink, but I did want to add, you know, a little bit of color onto them. Taking this Airspun translucent loose powder, I'm going to be baking along my jawline. Now, I know this is very different for me. If you've been watching me for a while, I don't do baking. And I don't recommend this powder for setting the under eye area either. It's really drying. It kind of reminds me of the Laura Mercier translucent powder. But then I decided to go ahead and define my contour along the jawline with it. And then I decided to bake it because I have had this for like a week or so. So I've been playing around with it, and I actually like the way that it does define the contour line, and I like the way that it sets my foundation along my jawline. So that is what I'm doing. Just applying a nice layer of that. And as you can see here, I'm kind of just rounding out the end and kind of hugging the apples of my cheeks so that it's not just such a really long, harsh line. And then after I've done a good job at giving myself a nice white Santa beard, I'm going to be moving on to my brows using this Anastasia Brow Wiz in the shade Dark Brown, and just taking that in order to really fill in and shape my brows, because as you can see here, I need help. And then in order to set my brows, I'm going to be using this brow mascara from Maybelline. This one is in the shade Dark Brown or Deep Brown, something like that. I'll leave everything in the description box below. And then just brushing my brow hairs up with a little wand in order to make my brows appear a little bit more full than what they actually are. Now it's time to remove all of the excess powder that I have left on my jawline. So just taking any kind of a nice fluffy brush, clean one preferably, so that you're not adding any additional product onto the skin. I'm just taking that and buffing everything away, and also trying to blend out anything that I feel looks a little bit too harsh. I want to give myself a defined contour line, but nothing that looks like a line. You know what I mean? Yeah. For highlight, since this is a dewy skin look, I decided to apply some of my Hourglass Ambient Light powder. This one is in the shade Luminous Light. I love it because it is very subtle. It's not glittery whatsoever, and it does give you a really nice glow. So just grabbing that with a fan brush, applying it right at the top of my cheeks, and then just simply dragging the product down so that my entire cheek is covered. That way, regardless of what direction I am facing, my glow is still there. Before moving on to liquid lipstick, I decided that I needed to scrub off my lips. I've been doing this with certain liquid lipsticks that I wear. Some formulas are a lot more drying than others, and so when I am going to be wearing a really dry formula like the one for this look, I decide that my lips definitely need a good scrubbing. This scrub is from Beauty For Real. It is their lip revival scrub, and it definitely does that to my lips. It takes away any of like any dead skin that's on my lips, and it moisturizes everything so that when I apply the liquid lipstick on top, it does not feel uncomfortable, and it is not too drying. So if you have any really dry liquid lipsticks, try a good lip scrub and then apply it and see if it makes a difference for you, because I found that it really definitely made a difference for me. And here's the liquid lipstick that I chose for this look. This one is from Too Faced. It is their Melted Matte Liquid Lipstick in the shade It's Happening. I absolutely love the shade of this liquid lipstick. It is super bold, it is super bright, and I don't know, I really, really like it. After I was completely done with the look, I gave myself a nice spritz of MAC Fix Plus in order to bring some moisture onto my skin so that nothing looks matte, everything looks dewy, and called it good. That is all. That completes the look. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video, enjoyed this look, and that you give it a try this Valentine's Day or for any special occasion that is upcoming for you. As always, take care, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye!
My own way isn't easy to show with the weight of the world on my shoulders. I know I thought